how it kind of bridges the gap between Islam and the West. Don't flash things in my eye. Alright, so what is the 99? So it's a graphic novel representation of Allah's 99 attributes. What that basically means is a comic book. And it's like animated. And what it does is that, I don't know how much you guys follow comic books, but it's recently acquired the interest of DC Comics, which is a Western-based comic, only rival to Marvel. And it's pretty big. All the movies you watch, Batman, Superman, they're all funded and incorporated with DC Comics. And the 99, it originates from the ideas of a Muslim guy named Dr. Naif al-Mutawa. He's a psychologist. His credentials stand as such. He also did business at Tufts University. And he actually quit business school to go pursue this effort. And he did a good job of it because now it's so successful. What it does is basically, in his own words, is intercultural intersection. What we see here is the West, which is predominantly, you see superheroes of all kinds, Batman, Superman, and, they're wearing risque, really, tantalizing details of, clothes and stuff. And then all of a sudden you see, the 99, which is the attributes of God, kind of crossing. And that's exactly what it does, kind of brings against both worlds. Right now, I'm going to pass it to Mairaj, talk some a little more about the details and storyline of what the 99 is all about.
Okay, so the backstory takes place...
Talk some a little more about the details and storyline of what the 99 is all about.
Okay, so the backstory takes place in 1258, and this is when the Mongols actually invaded Baghdad and destroyed it. And they actually went to the greatest library at the time, Dar al-Hikmah, and they took all the books and threw it into the Tigris River. And as the story goes, the Tigris River actually, the color of the river actually changed because of all the ink in the books. And so what he does is that he actually adds his own little twist to the story. In the story of the 99, the librarians of Dar al-Hikmah find out that the Mongols are coming to destroy Baghdad. And so what they do is they create this special solution called King's Water, which is supposed to, when combined with 99 stones, is supposed to take all the knowledge from these books and put them in the stones. So they're creating these stones and the water, but the Mongols come first, and the librarians have to run. And they still destroy the library, and they still pour all the books into the river, but the King's Water is poured along with it. So what these librarians do is they go to the river, and they take all the 99 stones, and for days and weeks, they dip the stones into the river to try to absorb all that knowledge back from the river. So then what they do is they escape, and they go through Arabia, and the stones end up in Andalusia, which is in Spain. And what they do is they make they separate the stones into batches of 33, and they become prayer beads, which most of you probably know what they are, tasbih. So what happens is that 200 years pass, and now it's 1492, and two important things happen in 1492. One, it's the end of the Spanish Inquisition, and Granada, the last Muslim enclave in Europe, actually falls. And as most of you probably know, Columbus gets his funding to go to India, and we all know how that ends up. So what happens to the stones? The stones are actually separated. 33 of them go to the New World along with Columbus. 33 go to Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. And 33 are transported along the Silk Road to Asia, Southeast Asia, and yeah. Okay, so then we get to now, 2010. And so what are the stones themselves? Each of them, they're called 99 Nur stones, and Nur is Arabic for light, because each of them hold a light of knowledge. And something important about the stones is that the stones, you don't choose the stone actually chooses you. And all of the 99, when they first get their powers, they actually abuse them for self-interest. And what happens is that they end up being exploited by their powers. The 99 stones also have a mechanism within them that allows them to self-update. And Saif is going to tell you more about that.
All right. So along with the historical relevance of the story, so obviously it's not just another gibberish you see on any comic book. There's some historical facts to back it all up. So you see just not a distortion of history, but you also see this idea of keeping things updated. So the Dr. Mutawa, he approaches the topic as the Quran as a ever-changing, living, breathing piece of work. So essentially what he's asking us to do is to accommodate to how things change. So in his own words, it was like something about being analogous to a living, breathing document that needs to change from time to time, or our perception or interpretation of it needs to change from time to time. So as Westerners now, as long as being Muslim, what we have to understand from this is that although we are Muslim, we need to also approach our society in that light also, that we mustn't always be so hard-headed and sometimes must conform to things and look at things differently and be more accepting and tolerant. With that said, something else that's, thank you guys. Something else that I want to share with you guys is that 99 attributes, these are universal human values, along with generosity, wisdom, mercy, foresight. These are all qualities that we are all familiar with. And it's another very, quality that reaches all audiences. I'm not just talking about, Westerners, Easterners. I'm talking about a 5-year-old kid. If he comes over to you, he knows what honesty is. He knows what having, foresight to do what's right and wrong. These are all values that transcend age and time. So this is another way of connecting to the audience, and this serves to everyone. The next slide, please. So how does it compare? So the first and most important thing that we have to do is establish a connection not just with our own society, but also the West. So establish similarities between Western superheroes and members of 99. I don't know if you guys are both familiar with comic book heroes, but the way it starts off, like Superman, Batman, these are all people, or Captain America for that instance, are all inspired from fighting fascism. And similarly, the way those creators fought fascism in their own way. We're fighting Islamophobia with 99. Similarly, Jewish men conceptualized Batman and Superman. Dr. Mutlu, being Muslim, conceptualized 99. And along there's also biblical archetypes. So in all terms of art, metaphorically speaking, there are ways that they allude to religion. So like with Superman, his parents died. The prophets have no parents. On top of which there's also the fact that there's this one scene with Jor-El, who's Superman's father. He's sent out through space, and there's this, he's quoted saying, "This is my son, and I'm sending him to save the world." Very biblical again. Collaborative effort involving Western illustrators and writers. This is not just about a bunch of Muslim guys, some in the Middle East sitting and drawing stuff. These are actually intellectual, cultured, knowledgeable men who actually work for Western companies, big companies. And I remember some of them drew for Spider-Man, they drew for Batman. These are all people that make money and collaborated with Dr. Mutawat to make this really happen. And my favorite quote out of all this was, these Western men were like, by next Ramadan, the world will have new superheroes. It's very symbolic. You have a bunch of white guys sitting there and hey, you know what? Forget what everyone else says. They're well aware of what Ramadan is. They know about Muslim. They know about what it means to be, about being Muslim and Islamic, I guess. Next slide, please. So success, you be the judge. So currently, it's licensed in 8 languages. There's even a theme park ride in Indonesia. 26-episode animated series, which was written in Hollywood. So it has a lot of credibility in the West. President Obama praised 99 as the most innovative reach out since speech at Cairo. So clearly there's good reception on the West. What does 99 mean for us? So now that you guys know a little about 99, I hope you guys support it because these are reasons why I feel it connects. On a very plain level, just on the surface, entertainment-wise, it's a great way. Any 5-year-old kid can sit down and watch this thing and be like, wow, this is great. But at the same time, along with entertainment, it's very educational. No matter what age group approaches this, they're going to learn something. Walk away from whether they believe or dislike Islam. That's not what it's about. At the time, it's going to teach them values. Counter incorrect graphical representation of Islam. I don't know if you guys know this, but there was a Danish cartoon released a couple months back? A couple of years ago, I'm sorry. Yeah. And so what happened with that was, this is what kind of inspired it. Initially, this comic book would never existed had it not been for the Danish cartoon. Because a lot of people were like, you know what? Why Islamic cartoon? There's really no connection. And then came the Danish cartoon thing, and it kind of was like, wow, we got to counter this. And that's what came about for the 99. So clearly, this Danish cartoon ridicules Islam, puts us in a bad light, and this is to counter that. So the entertainment part is one thing. Countering, going head-to-head with people that insult us, that's another great approach. But at the same time, we have to look at it from a different respect, relieving tension. This is the first time where we see the West accommodating to us, kind of our way of looking at it and be like, hey, you know what? It's not all that bad. We have people on our side. So it's a way of relieving tension. And lastly, but not least, which I think is the most important, is Dr. Mutlu makes a point that associating Islam with positivity. When I look at superheroes, right, I often make a very quick correlation. It's like he's a good guy, he's a bad guy.